and welcome to another Travel Family Academy episode. My name is Marae, and today we are going to be talking about the best gear to bring on board so your baby and toddler can sleep comfortably on your plane ride. Before we jump into that, let me just let you know that we are an academy made by parents and for parents. We love helping other moms and dads learn exactly what it is they need to do to make travel easier. You do not have to struggle. Travel should not be a headache. I mean, obviously, you're dealing with babies and toddlers, so there's always going to be something happening. You're always going to be on the go, just like you do at home. But we have found many ways to make travel easier with children, and we believe that the more you learn how to do that, the easier it gets, and therefore, the more likely you are to continue traveling with your baby or toddler, and later on, older kids. So if you'd like to learn more about how to make travel easier with your baby and toddler, make sure you follow us at Travel Family Academy on Instagram, or follow our blog at travelfamilyacademy.com/blog, where we have tons of blog posts and information explaining to you how to make travel easier with your baby and toddler. Today we're going to be talking about how to make flying with babies easier in the sense of helping them fall asleep, and I'm going to be reviewing some of the gear we've tried with the pros and cons as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's get right to business. So we all know that flying with babies obviously is challenging. First of all, when they're little, you have to carry all this stuff that, it's just bulky and extra things to bring. And then you have to worry about the child, having ear pressure pain, wanting certain foods, not wanting to fall asleep, etc., etc. As they become a little bit older and become toddlers, it's even more challenging because they want to run off the seat and walk down the plane aisle, and obviously that's not really always possible. So one of the biggest challenges that all of our audience tells us about is how to get your baby or toddler to sleep. Before I jump into the gear that we've tried, I just want to let you know that we have a workshop that costs $9.97 that makes such a big difference when it comes to learning how to get your toddler to sleep. All of the gear I'm going to talk about is meant to help you find more comfort for your child on the plane, but none of it is going to actually get your child to sleep if you don't know how to get their needs met so they fall asleep on the flight. So if your child is ready to go to sleep, all of the gear I'm going to be showcasing in this video later on is going to be super helpful for making them more comfortable and therefore probably guaranteeing longer sleep time. However, our workshop actually has a process that we came up with that has been tried and tested and celebrated by over 100 moms already who are guaranteeing sleep in their flight. So if you're interested, go to the link below. We'll put it right in the description so you can just click on it and check it out. It's only $9. Let's talk about the gear. So first off, we're going to start with the safety things first because, safety first. Car seats are awesome. I didn't know you could travel with a car seat and a baby until way too late, and I honestly wish I had known before. So I always make it a point to let new moms know that you can travel with a car seat. If you're flying with a child under 2 years old, you're not going to be able to get your car seat for free in the flight unless you have a seat for your child. There are other ways that you can do this. We have a video on it. If you would like to know, we can put it in the link below, but we can tell you how to guarantee a free seat for your baby. If your child is under 2 years old and you are buying a seat, you can always bring a car seat on board as long as you're flying out of the United States with a US-based airline. This is very important because if you're flying out of any other country, a lot of the regulations in other countries in the world do not have the same car seat rules in the US. But for the sake of this video, we're going to assume you're flying out of the US, and all of the items that I am going to be describing in this video as well, they are gear that we have tried in American-based flights as well as other European ones. I'll let you know which ones were for which part of the world so that you have an idea. Car seats are awesome for traveling with babies because first of all, by the time that you get a child or a toddler in a car seat on a plane, they are more likely than not already used to being in the car seat in the car at home. Therefore, it already sends a cue that they can fall asleep, that they're comfortable, that they're safe, that this is where they're going to be sitting for the next however long. And it sort of prevents them from wanting to jump around, leave the seat, want to sit on your lap, etc. I personally found that my child, when she was sitting on the plane on her car seat, she did not ask to get off. She just assumed this is where she was going to spend the whole flight, and that was awesome. It was awesome not having to have her like every 2 seconds wanted to sit on my seat. My child was also very reluctant to the car seat. When she was born all the way until about, I would say 5-6 months, car seats were the worst thing you can show her. So we did not do the early flying. I didn't know about it, but I also wouldn't have done it when she was very young because it would just have meant her screaming through the entire flight. I would have defeated the purpose. This obviously comes down to what kind of child you have. have and what kind of relationship they have with car seats. But if you do have the ability to bring a car seat on board, I really recommend it. We've had great success with it. One of the disadvantages of the car seat, when you're bringing a car seat on board, you have to think about the length of the flight. So if you're doing an overnight flight, a long haul flight, and your toddler, let's say, is a little bit on the bigger side, or they've already reached that stage where their legs dangle off the car seat, you have to think, or are they going to be sleeping for 8 hours, 6 hours, 7, 12 hours on this car seat, right? And then you're obviously supposed to be taking your child out of the car seat every 2 hours or so. So that's something to keep in mind in the flight as well. I find it that for older toddlers, the car seat option is not that great of an option anymore, especially once they've reached those 40 pounds or so. At that age, they're probably okay being restrained with like something like a Kear's harness, the seat belt, and having some other gear, you know, like a seat extender that gives them the comfort you want, right? But when they're a little bit younger, I would say anytime from birth until almost 2 years old, a year and a half, car seats are fantastic because, again, they just feel the comfort in it and they stay in the seat. However, keep this in mind, if you're going to be doing a long haul flight, that might not be the best idea, especially if they're wanting to find the comfort for sleep. We found in the last flights that we took the car seat on, long haul flight, she was just uncomfortable. She just wanted to get, like, it was just too long to be sitting in a car seat. So that was our experience with that, and why I'm saying that if you have an older kid whose legs are dangling, who's already not super comfortable in the car seat, maybe try a different option. The next item that I'm going to be discussing is the bed box. So the bed box is an item that was popularized by Jet Kits. Stoke Jet Kits is the brand, I think, and they made a bed box. There's other brands that have something similar as well. It's essentially those little luggages that you can open them to extend the seat, and they have a pillow and little cushions and things inside that you can use to make the seat into a bed, and they are also good for riding along. So the bed boxes are great if you have a child that likes enjoying riding on the luggage. The reason I'm saying this is because it is a bulky item. It is going to be one of your carry-on items. You cannot sneak this in the plane as if it was something else or not there, because it's clearly a bulky item. It may not fit under the seat in some airlines, like for example, Frontier Airline, it's not gonna fit under the seat, or it's gonna be really tight, like one of those budget airlines. It's not allowed by a lot of airlines, and it's one bulky item to carry. In my experience, when we took the bed box, a few times that we took it, she did sleep really well once she was on the little bed area, right? So you make the seat or you extend it and you make it into a bed, and obviously they can be comfortable. But there's two reasons why I don't love the bed box. Actually, three. One, it's really pricey, so it's $230 or so. Of course, you can always find it secondhand. But if your child is also, let's say, on the bigger side, like we have a very tall toddler. She's 3 years old. She wears like 5, 6-year-old clothing. So for us, it got small too quickly. So too quickly, we reached that point where she was laying on it and not actually comfortable, like her legs were dangling, or she had to like fold her legs. And then it sort of defeated the purpose of having the bed. But also she was not super keen on riding it. So then you're just lugging this around the airport. It's one more thing to carry with you. It's bulky and plastic and heavy, so carrying it is, you know, uncomfortable. And then if you're rolling it, you have to like obviously just be paying attention to where the rope is going and the thing is going. I used to hang it from the stroller, but then you have to have enough weight on the stroller. So like if she's sitting and then gets up and the stroller, you know, it's just, to me, it felt bulky. It was one more thing to carry. It felt like a lot to have to carry if the child is not going to 100% love it, or the airline is not going to allow it. In my experience, the few times that we tried to use it, the airline had no issue with it. Of course, we waited to install it after the seat belt light had gone off after takeoff, and we put it away before landing. I think a lot of the issues that people are having with these airline extenders and things like that, obviously besides the safety of whether it's allowed or not, I think the issue is that a lot of us are like, we get in the plane and we just open it up and try to put it on, and especially for landing and takeoff, that is just not, it's not safe in a plane. We'll make another video talking about like how to use all these items to, you know, guarantee a little bit more success. But for now, just know that the bed box is a good alternative if you have a smaller, physically smaller child, if the airline will allow it, if you have the budget to spend $200 and something on this item, and then pay for the carry-on so that it can come with you on the plane. And otherwise, it's something that I would probably just think about, because even though it's a carry-on item, it doesn't have that much storage. There's not that much that you can put in it. So for me, it's kind of like, I would go for other options. So the next item we're going to be discussing is the Bubba board. The Bubba board is genius. It's only about $80 or so. And it's basically a board. It extends, but it's basically you tuck it inside of the plane seat, you extend it, and you tuck the other side in the magazine tray on the seat in front. It's absolutely awesome. It even has a strap that you can hang around the seat ahead in front of you's tray in case you don't have the magazine slot, which some airlines don't have that anymore. And it's just really cool because it extends the seat. What I like about the bubble board is that it can be really useful for when they're just sitting in their seat, their feet are not dangling, so they're not wanting to kick the seat in front. For one. Another thing that makes it really great is that when they're playing, when their tray is open and they're playing with toys and the toys fall down, the toys are not falling on the ground, they're falling on the bubble board. And it makes it so much easier to pick up something off of this little thing next to you than having to bend over. But also, it extends the seat to make it into a bed. So I always bring a sweater with us and always a swaddle blanket as well. So then I use those to sort of make a little makeshift bed. Obviously, she doesn't have the cushiony that other beds have, that other, bed situations for the plane have. But it's very, very light and it's very discreet. So I've never reported to an airline that I'm boarding a flight with a bubble board. And nobody's ever stopped me, even on budget airlines in other countries. I go through, and even when I have my carry-on and my food bag and my diaper bag and my personal item, I hang the bubble board and it's there. Nobody cares. Normally, when I take it through the airport, I hang it from the stroller. It's not very heavy. So if the stroller is, she's not sitting on it, it's not falling backwards. It's probably, I don't know, a few pounds, a pound, I don't know, 2 pounds. It's super light and it's very easy to use and actually install on the flight. My only recommendation is to practice opening it and closing it, like play with it before you get to the flight. So the first time trying to install it and using it is not when you're like, boarding a plane, sitting a child, and all the commotion of flying. But the bubble board I actually really enjoyed, and I think for the price point, it's very useful, especially if you buy it when you have a brand new baby and use it all the way through. If you do have a tiny, tiny baby, obviously you gotta keep in mind that you have to put something on the sides if they tend to roll, like if you have a 6-month-old, for example, or have them sleep more towards the part of the seat so they're not rolling on the sides. But obviously this is placed by the window seat anyway, to avoid any disruptions. And we've never had an issue with it. We've used it many, many times abroad and also in the United States, and we've had zero problems. Unless you have this thing open during takeoff and landing. The next item we're going to discuss is the inflatable beds and inflatable footstools. There are so many of these in the market. I'm not even going to mention a brand because honestly, I don't even know anymore how many there are. But what I will say is that if that's something you're comfortable with, go ahead and give it a try. I know many moms that find, especially the footstool one, very useful. So basically it's a device, you can buy it on Amazon. There's quite a few options out there, and it's a small item that you can easily put in your carry-on bag or your food bag. And once you get in the plane and you're done again with taking off, you inflate it and put it in front of your seat. So what it does is it creates a little stool, like an ottoman, that fills in the gap between your seat and the seat in front of you. So your child doesn't have dangling legs, and it just has, they can just rest their feet up. This is a great alternative for comfort, as it's obviously something light, something easy to take. They're generally inexpensive. I think you can find some on Amazon for about 20 bucks or so. The only problem that I would say with these items is that to me, they are just bulky. And a lot of airlines don't like them, and it's very, very hard to disguise something like that. So when you're in a plane and you're inflating this massive footstool, before you put it down, you're inflating it up here. And it's just this massive thing to inflate on a flight. So it's really hard to hide that, and then you have to put it down. If you have anything under the seat, you have no access to it because you basically block the entrance to under the seat, which in my case, it's always occupied because I always have her bag of toys, her entertainment, her food bag, etc., etc. So I usually use the space under the seat in front of her. And I don't know, I just personally haven't loved using any sort of inflatable device, just like the neck pillows that you inflate. Those are not comfortable. I do know a lot of moms like them, but I personally think it's a little bit on the, it's just too bulky of a thing to put together. And I feel the same way about the inflatable beds. So the inflatable beds is even less ideal to me because they are very expensive usually. Like they're not in the $20 range. It's a bulky item that airlines don't allow or may not allow. So then you're bringing this thing in the plane with you. I mean, it's not bulky when it's packed, but then you have to pack it and unpack it and take time from your toddler, the stress of that, diaper changes, toys, activities. It's a lot. And then it may not be allowed. And because it's such a big, bulky item to put together to begin with, I feel like your chances of it not being allowed are higher than with something a little bit more discreet. So with that being said, it doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. A lot of moms love it. We've heard from a lot of people in our community that they've had great success with it. But I just will be really wary of it because it's something that, like, again, it's just, you call a lot of attention with that. So unless the airline has no issue with it, I wouldn't go into a flight with an inflatable bed or an inflatable footstool, unless I knew for a fact they would allow it. The last item I'm going to be talking about is, and I've seen this only recently, I'm actually not even sure what the brand is called, but I know it exists and you can probably just Google it. And it is the same concept of a seat extender, but it's loose. So it's a fabric piece, right? Instead of a hard piece. And I think this is probably a great product. I haven't tested it myself, so full disclosure there, but I have been doing the same thing with sweaters for a few years now. So when we go on flights where we're not allowed to bring a bubble board or any of the other extenders, what I do is, because I always travel with a sweater or sweatshirt with me, I tuck the arms of the sweater in the magazine slot along with the hoodie part, and I hang the sweater and sort of store it under her. So like the size of a hoodie or sweater go tucked in the seat next to her, and then so her body goes on it and it holds it together. And we'll show you a video here so you can see what it looks like. But basically it creates a little canopy bed so that her legs are not dangling and she can sleep a little bit more comfortable. This is obviously a makeshift thing, but I've actually now seen that they have it online as well. An actual product that you don't have to like makeshift yourself. This I think is a great idea because it's light, it's compact, it's easy to put together. And if they don't let you use it, it's not a big thing to carry it around with you uselessly. So what do you think? Which one will be a better fit for you, and which one have you tried? If you've tried any of these, please let us know in the comments below how you felt traveling with it so that other moms can make a decision based on what their needs are if they're similar to yours. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget that you can always find us on Instagram at Travel Family Academy or visit our blog to read more about traveling with kids. And our blog is travelfamilyacademy.com/blog. See you next week.